Alright guys, welcome back to the garage. We're working on a 2003 Jaguar X-type. We're putting rear brakes on it. Tools you're going to need is a 3/8 ratchet or half inch, what do you have? 10mm, a 13mm, a 13mm wrench. The specialty brake tool you need to turn your brakes, turn your rear calipers in. Pry tool and a hammer, and maybe some other things depending on the condition of your used vehicle. Alright, after you got your car lifted and properly set on jack stands, you want to start off this guy right here on the back side of this. I don't know if you can see that there's a 10mm in there. After you've removed the 10mm nut and the anti-vibration weight, let those off to the side. You will need to reinstall them. After you've switched your 13mm, you're going to remove the stud that the nut was on. After you've loosened that, you want to remove the upper nut. After removing the upper nut, or bolt, my bad, you'll notice that you can't get this off still. This is where small pry tool comes in handy. Pry free. You will notice that this thing has a I don't know if you can see that, there you go, a brake line and the emergency brake cable attached to it. You don't want to disconnect any of those if you're just changing the pads and rotors. If you don't have to, don't mess with them. You got the caliper out of place. You're going to want to on the back side of this, you'll notice the two caliper bracket bolts. They are both 13mm, and you'll need to take them off to get this off, to get the rotor off. Ratchet your 13mm on your upper bolt, but you will not be able to use it on the lower. You want to leave this upper bolt and a little loose. Don't take it all the way out before you brake. For the bottom one, that's where your wrench comes in. As you can see down here, you have a clearance issue, and you can't actually get a socket and a ratchet in there. You may have to add torque multiplier to the situation. After you've gotten your two bolts removed, the caliper bracket comes right off and your rotor should come right off. If you're replacing the pads and the rotor, you don't got nothing to worry about. I am going to clean this rotor up because my customer is not replacing these, even though I thought he should. But I have no way of turning them, so I'm going to pad slap it for him. Alright, once you've got everything pulled apart and ready to be cleaned up, clean your pins, your boots, replacing the old pads. I'm going to clean that up, but I'm going to use a combination of air tools, brake clean, and the power tool with the wire wheel to clean up the hub mating surface and all that. So we're going to get a nice clean pit, and we're going to clean up the pins, re-lube them, put the boots back on, reassemble all this. Alright, I want to talk a minute about these pads before I install them. If you open your box and you look at your pads and either one of these gold things are missing or broke off or not on there, take them back. Do not install them. These things will fall out right against the rotor and do all kinds of crazy stuff if it doesn't have these two clips on it. So do not install them if they're broke off. Alright, so the meat of what we're doing here, and probably why you're watching this video, is this is the special tool to scroll the caliper back into place. Got these two little nubs right here. Lock into these two little nubs on the caliper, and you spin it in. You slide it into the caliper like this. Now, they sell a bunch of different versions of this tool. This just happens to be the Blue Point one. You can buy one, you can rent one at your local auto parts store. You can buy one of the little cube things. That'll probably get the job done. And you take the right side socket, and then you just scroll these all the way back in. Alright, a final note, after you get these screwed in with your tool, which whenever you get, you will see these pins right here on the pad. They're on both sides. On the back one, you're going to want to make sure that you line these grooves up, one of those grooves up, with the pin on the back before you put the caliper on. And two, final note on these calipers is remember that the passenger side turns in clockwise, the driver side turns in counterclockwise. Don't try to force it, try both ways. I hear pray tell that some of these calipers are backwards depending on where this thing was made and everything else. But general rule of thumb is counterclockwise on driver and clockwise on passenger. Alright, I'm going to finish this up.